Good morning, good morning, good morning, President Hakainde Hichilema. Good morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa. Good morning, Ibrahim Traoré. Good morning, Donald Trump. Good morning, former President Barack Obama. Good morning, former President Mbeki and Zuma here in South Africa. Good morning also Julius Malema and also Kasonde Mwenda in Zambia, the EFF leadership. I also greet Nevas Mumba, the former vice president of Zambia. Also, I want to greet also Kristen Kaseva. I'm not too sure of other first ladies that are still there in Zambia. Perhaps the Vera Chiluvas and so forth. I greet them also. I want to say that there can be a greater frustrated listeners. I want to say that when I'm coming to speak, I'm not speaking to make a name, but I'm speaking to review the will of God into the lives of the presidents. And my speaking can be misrepresented by people who think that life is about to earn money in everything that you do, by people who think that perhaps I'm trying to get attention, by people thinking that perhaps I have political ambition, by people who may think that perhaps there is an hidden agenda. As I remember when I was talking to Michael Sata, he asked me to say, who sent you? So every president would actually think that I'm sent by someone else. But you see what God has done. He has cleared all the 6 presidents. They are in the grave. 5 are in the grave. 1 is still pending. It's now over a month and some weeks. The controversy lies on his body. And I want to speak about it today, not because it is news to me. It is something that God showed me before it happened. Before Lungu became president, I talked about it. So now, you find that people who are critical, instead of listening, instead of calling for national prayer, instead of actually humbling ourselves to a point that as I'm calling for the 90 days national prayer, Africa, the reformation of Africa, in praying regarding that. So I want to say that if everyone was listening, if everyone could open his ears and understand without being critical, without analyzing all my words as though I'm fighting Hakainde Hichilema. I'm not fighting Hakainde Hichilema. I'm actually speaking to the ablingata, this vein at the back of the mind for Hakainde Hichilema to realize that the steps that is taking, despite him claiming that he's making meaningful partnership with EU, IMF, America, Britain, all those big names, and all this opening of Mulungushi, whatsoever, any other avenue in promising development, it's just a fake story, which has physical activities, which shows that there's something happening, money entering in Zambia, making everyone feel at least the economy is progressing, is just being deceived. The real agenda here is all these things, they are shielding the knowledge of us tapping our real financial strength from our natural resources. That's the purpose. When someone is destroying your family, he comes in with money. You come and say, oh, I'm receiving maybe a friend from America, comes with money. He actually hugs me. How are you, my friend? and he removes money. Can you buy what is needed here and there? Oh, you are building a house. Oh, let me finish a house for you. Let me help you so that at least you look okay. You think that that person is helping you. Is not helping you. Is after something. The next day you are going to find that person even with someone you love, even your wife or your daughter or anyone in your family. You think that they are just discussing, is a family friend. Is not a family friend. Is after something. Is after dividing your family. You end up fighting with your wife or fighting with your daughters for being impregnated by someone who is not or who is someone's husband. So what is it that I'm giving you in this illustration? All the good partnership that Hakainde is making, God has revealed to me to say those partnership, they are just eye-capturing, face-making falsehood to keep Africa floating in lies, whilst they are tapping the real strength of the economy, which is copper, gold, oil, and platinum, and all these minerals under the ground, coal, which is left for us to use because they know it doesn't fetch much money. I want to tell you to say, I'm not against Hakainde Chilema, but I'm warning God's revelation. The current situation of Zambia is the battle that has divided Zambia. The death of Edgar Lungu, which I foresaw and foretold in 2012, that I saw Sata at the back of the house smoking cigarette with a lot of smoke. The whole room was filled with a lot of smoke. Then when Sata looked at me, and these people, they turned and looked at me, he gave the cigarette to who? To Lungu, a person that I didn't know by then, but I saw the structure. Immediately when Lungu was standing for president, I knew that this is the man who received the cigarette and is going also to die in the similar way of political death. So when Lungu smoked that cigarette, he also developed sores on his body. This told me that Lungu was going to die as a president. And I wrote that letter to Kristen Kaseva. And I called Kristen Kaseva, who was the first lady, to say, you are a widow, in that same letter. And she called me whilst I was in City Market. I could not get her writing. She was so offensive because I called her a widow before the death of his husband. Of her husband. So now I want to say that as much as I appreciate that God has preserved the life of Kristen Kaseva as an ambassador in UPND, she can be asked. She can be asked because I know for sure that she's able to foretell. She's able to confess that I really told her that the death of your husband is imminent and it is sure, it shall come to pass because it was revealed by God. So when I looked at the reaction of Kristen Kaseva, I went further to say the one that shall take from Edgar Lungu, the one who is going to take from Sata, is going to suffer the same consequences. And meaning that when I was appealing to Hakainde Chilema to say, let Hakainde Chilema call me so that I can give him the clue to unite Zambia in regard to the burial of Edgar Lungu. I made some Facebook proposals to say, if it is possible, can he stand maybe 300 meters away if he still wants to give a speech? Or literally staying away from the funeral in order to remove the speculations of witchcraft or Freemason that are believed to say when they sniff at someone's dead body, they will gain the support, the influence of that one who is dead. So it is believed. But according to me, those issues, they are real in darkness, in the power of darkness. But in the power of faith, they are not existing. So I want to say that if Hakainde Hichilema wanted his leadership to go hand in hand with God's plan, with God's rescue operation on Zambian government, he was supposed to do what? To humble himself and listen to what I told him. Or listen to what I was going to tell him. Even this president, last time I saw the list of the opposition leaders who are aspiring to take over from Hakainde Hichilema. I want to say Hakainde Hichilema is standing in between the grave and life. Because I saw Hakainde Hichilema standing the other side of the fire, and standing the other side of the fire, and we were surrounding. There were people surrounding, and I was sleeping there, and I was watching the two fighting for the race. But all the two, they are faced with similar death. In that vision of Lungu smoking the cigarette, when Lungu was about to give someone, I stopped Lungu to say, Lungu, don't give this cigarette to someone, because the same who is going to receive the cigarette is going to die. So my coming into social media is not to make a name, is to come to break the case, to break the death of a president in Zambia. But if President Hakainde Hichilema continues to be arrogant, and when he dies, the ones that are going to be fighting for his position, they must not think that they are safe. They are not safe. Because the system that is ruling under Hakainde Hichilema is not a system that has mess. It's clearing everyone who doesn't want to tow alongside its regulations. But the secret to stop that lies to my God. It's not ritual initiation, or Freemason joining. No. It is the power of prayer that can change your life. You don't need to meet me to receive that power. All what you need is to confess by your mouth. You talk to me on a video call. I'll pray for you, and everything shall be well, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Any president that want to take over from Hakainde Hichilema, they must talk to me. I pray for them. If they think I want money, video call is enough. Wherever you are, the power of God can still protect you, because there is a frog that invaded State House, and that is killing the president. I know that these presidents that are dying, they are dying refusing my warning. And others, they even call me a witch. People who can call me a witch, let them call the God of Daniel a witch. You believe Daniel because he's dead, isn't it? You believe him. When you stand, you, Hakainde Hichilema, preaching about Daniel in the church as an elder in the SDA. Because when Daniel said, after you, Nebuchadnezzar, another kingdom shall come, Nebuchadnezzar refused to listen to Daniel, and he became mad for 7 years. So Daniel was a witch. He was a witch. Was he a witch? Or God was instituting or performing his anger? You call Elijah a witch, isn't it? When Elijah says 3.5 years, there will be no rain, he was a witch when that event came to pass. It was not God. That's what you are trying to implement, to actually apply to me. When you call me a witch, witchcraft is a photocopy of God's hand of miracles. It's a photocopy. There must be seen an original and a photocopy. We must set the difference here. When Moses was assigned to go and rescue the children of Israel from slavery, he asked God to say, what can I do for Pharaoh to believe? Then he was given a walking stick. He had a walking stick. God says, throw it on the floor. And he threw it on the floor. It became a snake. Was it witchcraft? Was it witchcraft? Never. So when Moses left and performed that miracle before Pharaoh, what happened? Pharaoh called his prophets, called his seer, the seer ones, they came. He called his amata, the praise prophets, they came, the sorcerers, all of them, the spiritualists, they came. And what happened is that I want to tell you to say, when that happened, they also performed a miracle. They threw their walking sticks on the floor. I don't know how many were there, but usually the prophets that were surrounding the king, they were 200 and above to 400, 450. Those were standing with Ahab, the king. Elijah also, I think there were about 2,000 somewhere there. 200, yeah, 200 and something, as mentioned in the Bible. Is it 200 or 450? There are a lot of other prophets group. I'm getting mixed up, but the point that I'm actually tracing is the prophets that came to challenge Moses. They were more than 400. With their walking sticks, they also threw them. They also became snakes. And when they became snakes, you know, with one snake versus 400 snakes. Let's assume so, because as I heard in the recent documentary of Chavinga saying that Hakainde Chilema has more than 150 office of the president, OPs, the whole state house, all drinking places near the state house, they are surrounded. There's no nightclub. There's no bar that you are not going to find an OP near the state house. So meaning that is well protected to a point that no one can only make a step and try to find a drinking place without seeing someone following you. I remember the time when I made a passing through from Angola. I was shocked when I went to, is it Livala? I was trying to do certain things there. So I entered in the shop. I found that the people were outside, because I'm also now more like an intelligent, because before I reach an area, I look around and identify the people who are seated there and analyze. As I was walking, I was analyzing the people who are seated outside. Why are they seated outside? Who are they? Immediately when I entered the shop, I saw someone came among those gentlemen pretending to be buying, as I wanted to buy a drink for me to have my lunch. So now I realized that this person is not buying, but is following someone, is following me. But someone came in. You know what? God will always want you to know the truth. Someone came and greeted her, Boma Mribanj. So then I said, my suspicion is very true indeed. This reminds me, even when I was selling books in Zambia that time, I was also selling food colors in the markets. Someone told me to say, my brother, you know that the books that I've been buying it for Chiluba. Even when I was talking to you, I've been working. And now under this government, they have sent me again to go to another market somewhere. I said, so all this discussion, the friendship that you had with me is just you've been undercovered. Yes. So the eyes of the president, they're everywhere. So whosoever comes closer to me, I'll understand it to say, why is he coming closer to me? I'll understand. And I agree with that information that President Hakainde Hichilema has 200 around the State House. Around his house. I don't know how many hundreds. Around the markets in Lusaka, I don't know how many hundreds. These monies that are paying these people, then is not Zambian money. It's donor funded to protect a puppet, to protect someone who really sells the country. So that whosoever raises a head against a church, he must go 6 feet. You think America is foolish to put what is called AFRICOM, its military base? You think it's foolish? It's not foolish. It's meant to silence every Zambian who is going to talk against Hakainde Hichilema, who is going to talk against America, who is going to talk anything to do with the natural resources. They will silence you. I thank God. I thank God that the drama surrounding Hakainde Hichilema regarding the burial of Lungu is exposing Hakainde Hichilema. I'm also thanking God that the drama that is surrounding Cyril Ramaphosa is also exposing him to his rejection of listening to God's warning. Listen to this.
They are handling the funeral in a manner African funerals must be handled. So
here, I want you to listen properly. Hakainde Hichilema is trying to say, is actually negotiating with the family members, and he has assigned the people that are handling the issue of the burial of Edgar Lungu, which must be done decently and well, according to the traditions of Zambia. And all other 5 presidents have, where he is, he doesn't know where the burial site is. He's simply pointing around like this because he has been carried from State House and brought at an embassy where he's giving a speech about the Nigerian president that is being buried. So now, I want to say that I'm not demeaning the president, but what it is that I'm saying that is being used. Whatever he's saying is being used. And what he's saying is followed by a revelation by Chavinga that he has given him money to do what? To bribe judges in South Africa so that the board of what? Of Lungu should come. So this is what you're saying, that they are handling the money, they are handling the issue well of bringing the body. Meaning that Chawinga was down there using money. Instead of talking to the family, he uses money to bring the president. I want to have this.
to bury them with dignity. President buried in London. We have gone home. We too have shown that example by burying all the 5 before the 6th president. Near here. I think it's just behind, isn't it? Near here. All the 5. So we've established a tradition, protocols in line with the African culture. So we must continue with that culture, no matter what challenges, what difficulties there are. And I can't say that we'll continue to engage in the family quietly. Maybe I should confirm that. We'll continue to engage in the family quietly, because that's what it should be. And we do do hope that consensus will be reached. And I want to ask Zambians, let's thank you for your patience. And secondly, to ask you to retain that patience as discussions continue.
So when you look at what Hakainde Chilema is saying, I want to believe that God is going to help us to remove him out of power because he's not listening to the will of God. I want to believe that whatever he has said here, it is something that is contrary to the happening of the real handling of the issue of Edgar Lungu. The audio that has been leaked with a PF Chavinga rebel who is masquerading as a PF sympathizer, talking to one of the minister of HH, is quite disappointing. When you think money can protect you, when you think that money can make you fight God, it will expose you. Also, Ramaphosa, Fikile Mbalula has exposed WhatsApp messages linking Ramaphosa to high-profile corruption of tenders and here and there. The boiling pot for Ramaphosa reminds him to say, when I'm speaking, I'm not speaking against him. I'm speaking against leadership that does not want to honor God's word as truth. I want to point out that religion has been misplaced or has been misrepresented. Those who have misrepresented the religion, they are whites. They brought religion wrapped in a Bible, whilst their acts of mercy, they've been discovered to say, no, it is not acts of mercy. They've been looting our natural resources using the Bible. And they have manipulated further religion to be a milestone of campaign to become president. Whilst when you look into the Bible times, religion was not a platform to campaign for being president. Those who were entering into political position like Daniel, they didn't go there using religion. They went there as a light, as a moon, giving guidance to leadership of the power of God. By their lifestyle, not marrying church with politics. When you talk about Joseph, what took Joseph to be prime minister is interpretation of visions and dreams towards economical crisis of the country. And they were called to manage. But this did not qualify them to say the church must run the political scenario. If that was the case, then Israel was going to be running governments on earth. No. Let's understand it this way. If I'm called to minister for a certain purpose in government, it doesn't mean that the gospel revelation ministry shall be part and parcel of the government. No. Gospel revelation ministry must remain as a church independent of government posts, independent of government positions, independent of government making decisions. The government must be given an opportunity to run political battles on natural resources, empowering people with governance. Whereas the church must remain empowering the same citizens on a different platform with spiritual governance, with spiritual nourishment to the soul. Because if the same mouth can speak politics, the same mouth can speak religious thing, you know, politics has 90% of corrupt promises, whereas religion has 100% of the promise that God is going to resolve our spiritual challenges. Healing must be done out of a mouth that does not lie. Spiritual healing and physical healing. And the promise of the coming of the Messiah is 100% sure. So in religion, the sun, when it gives the light, it really lights. Clear. You have no doubt. You can pick a needle. But if the moon is lighting only on a full moon day, at least you can pick something. But literally a needle, you can literally see it. But with a full moon, you will literally be able to pick a needle, which is slightly bigger. The smallest one, definitely you can struggle using the moon. So what does that mean? It means that when church, which is represented by the sun, comes into politics, that will mean that everyone who is in that country must be a son, must be Christian. But that is not the arrangement of God. The arrangement of God is darkness must be on its own, and the sun must rule by day, the moon must rule by night. The moon, which is our calendar of weekly cycle, is guiding us on our earthly time. It is giving us the signs of days and so forth. Meaning that if a president is ruling with God-fearing and with the protection of God, of course, science has proved to us that the moon has no light of its own. It's an empty shell without light. But it receives light from the what? From the sun. This means that when a president is ruling God's people, he has a mixture of God's people and those who do not want to worship God. Because the scripture says, the foolish have said that there is no God. So if the president can be a Christian and the nation can be a Christian, it's a disaster. It's like you are impounding everyone to become Christian by force. But Jesus says, whosoever believeth in him, let him do what? Let him come by free choice. So this gives me an understanding that Zambia must not be a Christian nation. Zambia only needs a leader that fears God. And that leader that fears God must not comprehend Christianity with politics, or combined Christianity and politics, or unite Christianity and politics. These entities must remain separate. Our prayer within the 90 days session, that after this recording, I'm putting on sackcloth the whole of this day, which is the 70-day Sabbath, the last Sabbath of the moon cycle, the last crescent moon, that Easter evening makes this Sabbath to be legitimate, the 7th day of the week, followed by the new moon, then the 6 working days according to Ezekiel 46 verse 1 to 6. I'm just giving you that as a clip. But my main point is the discussion that we looked into regarding Hakainde Hichilema discussing about handling of the funeral, which he claims that he wants to bury LUNGU with dignity. The dignity that you want to bury Lungu with is supported by bribing of the judges. Imagine. There's no God in such arrangements. It has brought shame on Zambia. And it's a proof that God has warned that there will be no one in Zambia that will guide the people, that will have respect in the eyes of the world, that will unite the people. Tribal wars will continue. There is no tribalism in Zambia. But Hakainde Hichilema heard him in one of the audios, that will expose him, calling the chiefs and so forth, advising them to vote for him because he's Tonga. And the court, without shame, they jailed the person who was exposing the president, because they don't want the president to be exposed. He has been exposed. Kambwiri is in jail. Chabinga is summoned by the police, falsely so, because you want to be jailed for exposing the real happening regarding this funeral of Edgar Lungu, the board of Edgar Lungu. What is the fight? Listen, I want to say that this is a letter that I wrote to President Lupia Banda. I saw him in a vision on 9th March. This letter is something that I wrote, and when I wrote this letter, I made sure that Lungu can do what? Lupia Banda can receive warning and do what? And repent. I said, Riff, the vision of 9th March 2009 of the 2 books of condolences. How are you? With me, I'm fine. I write to convey my condolences to late former President Dr. F.T.J. Chiluba. May he so rest in peace. Actually, I forgot to note that I was referring to 2009 in a letter that I wrote on 19th June 2011. Meaning that this letter that I wrote, I warned of Lupia Banda announcing the 2 books of Of condolences in March, 3 years later. So the vision of the second president, who was Chiluba, who had died, it was in fulfillment of this vision that I saw in March 2009. Showing that God does not miss a word in his revelation. So when I'm talking about Hakainde Hichilema facing the grave that is already dug, miraculous, it's not just a coincidence. There's a grave here in South Africa for Lungu. If Lungu is not buried here, who's going to be buried in? If Lungu is buried here in South Africa, that grave is waiting for Hakainde Hichilema. Even if they cover it, they'll just uncover it because they spent money there. There's money. It's a beautiful grave. Chiluba died within the leadership of Lupia Banda. This is what this letter is confirming. I'm here, I'm doing this with a prayer that you may understand that God can attend to your appeal for votes. If you listen to him and respond to his call to save him. In this vision, I saw you in a big dark blue house appealing for votes from men who were in the room, and I happened to be among them. Apart from appealing for votes, you said the State House has recorded 2 books of condolences. Then I replied and said, I know of the late President Manawasa, and who was on the 2nd book of condolences. To this question, you did not respond, and the vision came to an end without an answer. one thing that has been fulfilled in this vision is that under your leadership, you have announced 2 national funerals, the 2 books of condolences. And the second thing is both events have occurred at the same time that you are appealing for votes, as I saw in a vision by night. This points out clearly that the second book of condolences you announced was for the late Dr. F.T.J. Chiluba. The fact that both leaders have passed on were warned of God, but they ignored or denied to listen to God's call to repentance against the frog or the Antichrist principles that promote church and state union. Of course, this does not mean I'm passing judgment on their Manawasa and Chiluba salvation as individuals, for judgment only belongs to God. But allow me to point out a few signs in Dr. Chiluba's prophetic warnings that may help you or prove you that God is speaking to leaders through his ministry today, as he did in the past through Daniel, the prophet, etc., etc. Yes, perhaps this may help you to see the hand of God in the political leadership of Zambia and the world in fulfilling Bible prophecy. I've just remembered that this letter was actually in this book, The Pigpen Predicament, Volume 3. Where's that? The other copy, which is more clear on the cover. All right, at least this one is much better. On this book, those with this book in Zambia and here in South Africa, the time when I came in 2012, I gave some of this book to those at Home Affairs. I was giving them. I wrote this in this book. I actually annexed some letters that I gave to Lupia Banda. And actually on page 99, 299, I underlined someone where I said, when I said Zambia will remain without a king, president, before God and tribal wars will never end, it simply means leaders have a broken link with God's revealed word through scripture or a vision. MMD leadership is very different from Dr. Kenneth's leadership. Yes, I believe Dr. Kaunda was only misled by Dr. M. Ranganathan due to his love for God in spiritualism, and my appeal to him is, I'm still waiting for his testimony. I requested in the second volume, The Rescue Operation Criminal Trespass, open letter to Dr. Manawasa. I wrote this. Let me just reflect it to you on this underlined here, that Zambia will remain without a king, president. I interpreted this here. And when you read this, it is exactly what has happened today. Zambia has no former president. And this president who is standing is also facing the what? The open grave, waiting for him. Only if he turns to God, he can live in 100 years from today. His years will increase. You enjoy the labor of what? Of his leadership, if he listens to what God is saying through me. But if he doesn't, I don't know. I leave it to God himself. So I was simply saying the letters that I actually wrote. There's this letter here. I said I did put a letter to Lupia Banda in this. You can check on this open letter. It's 24 July 2009. The letter that was addressed to Lupia Banda regarding the visions that I'm talking about. So now, this is a letter that I wrote in 2011, following that letter that I annexed here. So now, what is it that I'm saying? I'm saying Rupia Banda was given an opportunity by God to listen to God and to heal him of his cancer. That which I know to say the cancer that killed him was actually from poisoning. The other person that died of poisoning is Anderson Mazoka, the opposition leader, who I want. All this is called classified information because those who kill, they are telling State House not to tell the people the truth. And when they keep the secrets, they also kill them so that that secret cannot come out to say who is killing them. Look at what was happening to Kabila in Congo. The son is crowned the president after the killing of the father. And the one who killed the father, he was killed at the same point. So that when he's arrested and tortured, he should not mention who sent him to kill. To kill the president. Our presidents are under hostage. And we need to pray for them. I continued to refer to late President Rupia Banda regarding God's revelation. Here I said, the following visions, dreams, and revelations and inspiration by the Holy Ghost unto me that have shaped the history of Zambia, the world, and since the time the angels Gabriel spoke to me in a night vision, as the heavens opened, were meant to help the late presidents to seek God and to defend God's agenda against the formation of the mark of the beast. When I'm appealing to say Hakainde Chilema must protect God's ministry, I'm actually interpreting this, seeking God's agenda in defense against the formation of the mark of the beast. The partnership with Pope Francis and Hakainde Chilema is the formation of the mark of the beast. The fight against Lungu, or Lungu against Hakainde Chilema, which was documented nicely in one of the videos, which proves to say the way Mrs. Hakainde Chilema explained about how they went to break the house, how they were beating their servants, how they were aiming to reach on Hakainde Hichilema. It was real. Look, the people that have died under HH, the people that have disappeared under HH, they are more than the people that have died under the hand of Lungu. Not only the people that have died, also the economy is dead. And the drought which HH reporters are based on his failure to fulfill the fixing of economy is UPND the only government that had drought? We know of Chiluba, 1991. Immediately when he came into power, there's drought. But Chiluba did not cry about that drought. Serious drought, which yellow maize kept on coming. Mwanawasa, when he came into power, he refused the yellow maize because the effects of drought were still there. But Mwanawasa's economy performed in the midst of drought. HH has continued to blame the PF on his failures for the last 4 years. But ask me what? HH has continued to brag and boast over meaningful partnership, and money has been given from AU to fight corruption. And this is money which is being flattering out to silence any critical against HH. What kind of democracy is HH practicing? Exactly of the mark of the beast, as recorded in Revelation chapter 13, that it shall kill whosoever shall not accept it. It shall control the economy of whosoever who shall not accept it. They shall not buy or sell. Today we are not buying because we've refused homosexuality law. There's hunger in our homes because we refuse Sodom and Gomorrah. Our economies are controlled because we have refused the mark of the beast. We have refused Vatican rule. It's prophecy in fulfillment. So here I go. I started reminding Rupiah Banda how God has spoken and how the visions have stood the test of time. I said, 1, this is the letter that I'm reading. You can just look. I'm just reading what I wrote in 2011. I said, 1990, the first vision reviewed the fall of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, the rise and the fall of Dr. FTJ Chiluba, who was succeeded by Pope John Paul II, Karo Watila, through Zambia's political platform to propagate the formation of the mark of the beast in fulfillment of Bible prophecy. The declaration of Christian nation is the formation of the mark of the beast. 1991, number 2, I said, Dr. Chiluba's MMD government declared Zambia a Christian nation, the first declaration in the world in fulfillment of 1990 vision based on the rise of the Pope on Zambian soil and Bible prophecy. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, that is Christ-like, but he spoke like a dragon, that is Satan. That is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11 to 13. 3, I stated, I saw the Pope beckoning people to vote for an open palm in a symbol representing the opposition UPND. And came 2001 election, the late Anderson Mazoka confirmed this Vatican political alliance, vision true, and support for Christian nation by his successor Hakainde Hichilema proves a continuation with the alliance. The Catholic insider and intelligent expert Malachi Martin wrote in his book concerning the role of the Vatican in playing in order to control the world. He says, this is the key of this blood, page 314 to 15. He says, in Pope's scheme of globalist situation rooms, the operational centers of internationalists and transactionalists are set side by side, with a wide and much used swinging door connecting them. One of them, referred as the most frequently as the internationalist, is made up primarily of political bureaucrats, individuals whose activities center around tough business of forging legal agreements and pacts between nations, and increasingly between blocks of nations. That is genuine globalist from Albania to Zambia. Let's hear it for conflicts. The key of his blood, page 314, 15. I think the book is somewhere. I would have loved to read it from the book so that I can add the information. He says the Pope is using these bureaucrats, political bureaucrats, arrangement. For example, I want to say the BRICS. If the BRICS cannot unite with Ibrahim Traoré, it is one of those bureaucrats that is meant to give Africa hope, but leading us to a system that is going to enslave us. Only when the BRICS acknowledges Traoré as the president of Africa and fuse in Ibrahim Traoré of ownership of our natural resources, then the BRICS will have a meaning. The one which Ramaphosa has joined with Russia, China, and the other countries. These blocks of nations, between blocks of nations, it is already agreed. When Malachi spilled the beans, he was assassinated, he died. They allege that he committed suicide. It won't be surprising when you hear that Evangelist Masuka was involved in an accident, he died. Or Evangelist Masuka was shot by criminals who are trying to steal from him. It won't be shocking. You must know that it is the system that is protecting Hakainde Chilema, that is silencing those who are critical to him. I'm not critical. I'm just revealing what God told me. And Malachi Martins confirms this, that all internationalists, their organization, the international organizations, like I referred in yesterday's video, I talked about America has 6 companies that are operating in South Africa. 600 companies. In those 600 companies, those managers are not only managers. They are there to stage protests against Ramaphosa. Once Ramaphosa is pulling on the BRICS and also sniffing on the trial, Ibrahim Traoré partnership, then it becomes a threat. If BRICS alone is not much of the threat, but if BRICS he wants to be married with Traoré, Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, it becomes a threat to the Vatican. It becomes a threat to Donald Trump. It becomes a threat to Britain, UK. Because Traoré, reformation, revolution is real. In the sense that he is our Moses today. Listen to this. Fourth, I said 2001, the third term's fate prophesied before his campaign heated up. The subsequently defeated by the Oasis Forum, whose creation was Catholic incentive, again at the heart of the third term debate. Chiluba was called a thief in the fulfillment of the revelation, Chiluba Akan of today, Airport Trap, page 22, 2001 edition. So, I confirmed about the fulfillment of Akan Chiluba, a vision that was fulfilled. 2000 again, number 5, I said President Obama's rise and the predicted pigpen predicament is imminent and fits in as Joseph the slave, who became a governor over Egypt, as the case on America today. I wrote this prophecy that has now unfolded as credit crunch. As Africa privatization shall come to its close a new system shall arise, a change we can believe in, that shall enslave the government through debt. Zambia finally shall be under UN guidelines and under globalization presided by the Pope. The Airport Trap, Volume 1, page 99 to 100, 2001 edition. This is the Airport Trap where I'm quoting this. 99, page 99. Yeah, here's page 99. I underlined this on paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, paragraph 4. I underlined this. Okay? So, this prophecy was rightly on paragraph 4. If you can see and capture with your phone and read this page completely, I'll do that just recently. Just soon I'll be pasting these pages the way I've done on the what, on the laptop, for everyone to be following me quickly. It's only that I'm too busy with editing of these books that I'm writing. I said in this book, as Africa privatization shall come to its close, as African privatization shall come to its close, yes, as African privatization come to its close, sorry for the inconvenience, I said, let me say, as I'm reading here, page 99. As African privatization comes to its close, a new system shall arise that shall enslave government through debt. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph and his family. Exodus 1, verse 8 to 22. The new king plans were to reduce the Hebrews from multiplying, for they feared them. But the princess had undertaken a rescue operation by adopting Moses from a floating basket on a river, and he escaped the family planning method introduced by the new king. This family method degree called for the death of all male-born babies, who, thank God, Moses was spared for God's plan to rescue Israel by his hand to succeed. Page 100. Let me quote page 100. I said on paragraph 2, I said, check on there, on paragraph 2. I said, let us wait and see, for when a new king shall arise, which knew not Joseph, then Israel went into bondage. Zambia shall be final under UN guidelines, and like all other countries under globalization presided by the Pope, will cease to exist as a national state, as a sovereign state. This is one of the conditions to which the democratic President Chiluba appended his signature at the UN Millennium Summit in New York from September 6 to 8, 2000. All this is done in order to have free aid under globalization. Zambia own nothing, not even land. A new king will rise who shall not recognize global multi-party democracy, as individual countries shall be found without companies and land because of privatization. This shall prove God's word true. They shall not cleave one to another. I'm reading from this book, which I gave you, Hakainde Chilema, and the many others like Mianda. I don't know whether, I think Christian Kaseva still has the books. If they don't have them, let them ask from people around Zambia. They'll be able to confess that indeed there is no editing. So I was referring to this book when I was talking to who? To the fourth president, Lupia Banda, telling Lupia Banda about the fulfilled prophecies regarding the fulfillment of the rise of Obama, who shall be followed by a new king who shall not recognize Joseph. In reference, when I say Joseph, I'm referring to Obama, because I was just given this system in the vision to say, as it is written in the holy book, the books of prophets, about the enslavement of Israel, it shall be the same. That gives the books of prophets legitimate that it is the word of God. Because what is happening is exactly what happened to the children of Israel. Where is the exactness? When Obama, who is an African by nature of his skin, rule America as Joseph ruled Egypt of the light skin, and America is of the light skin, he made agreements with America on behalf of his family, that is Joseph, to take his family for settlement in Goshen land because of the 7 years hunger. The slavery that is happening in Africa made Obama to make agreements with African countries to agree with America to set these AFRICOM, American military base in Africa, in order for them to receive donor aid. Obama made agreement to kill even the one who was championing for United Africa, the president of Libya, Gaddafi. So all these things were happening under Joseph that time. Joseph arrested his brothers in the pretense that they have stolen the cup. Today, all presidents of Africa that are fighting against the enslavement, the new enslavement of donor aid support, whilst they are reaching on our natural resources, they are being accused of being criminals. That's why you see the people like Mbalula coming out with brazen arguments or brazen allegation against Cyril Ramaphosa. Is a system that Malachi Martin already exposed. And in another video, Mbalula says, I was given 1 point something million for me to go into agreements with our government in dealing with mines in Zimbabwe and Zambia. So I was used to bring this. He wants to become what is called a state witness. Which state? That is America. Mbalula is coming against Cyril Ramaphosa in defense of America, because America is using the system underground to remove Cyril Ramaphosa from power in order for the DA to come and rule, so that the Americans can finish their business of controlling all the resources. And Cyril Ramaphosa is faced with xenophobia protest, also to disrupt from the actual thing that is happening. When Cyril Ramaphosa is fighting xenophobia acts according to the agreements of UN, also the Americans, they are busy, Europe is busy opening embassies, opening passport offices overseas for Africans that are in America to come and vote, so that when they have passports, they come and vote to remove Cyril Ramaphosa into power. They come and vote for DA on the coming elections. without knowing that South Africa is actually being ushered back into the hands of the colonial masters. So all these political parties that are forming in rebellion to Africa leadership, labeling it as criminals, it is what the purpose of my visions was to review to Rupia Banda, review to Cyril Ramaphosa, review to Zuma. But alas, this president, they don't want to listen because they are surrounded by these people who are agents to our imperialists, who are agents to our colonial masters. They tell them that visions and dreams is schizophrenia, mental illness. When visions and dreams, they are there to rescue Ramaphosa, to rescue Zuma, to rescue Hakainde Chilema, and to rescue those who are in opposition, trying to take over already a rotten system that has a frog willing to capture them. What is it that I was trying to put forward? I was actually saying the airport trap was a revelation that defeated Chiluba's third term. Because I told him to say, Chiluba, third term is not God's blessing. And I'm saying to Hakainde today to say all the partnership that you are announcing, proudly saying that Kwenyu. I don't know, Siawan who gave you the Kwenyu slogan is really a prophet of God. Let's wait and see. Because that Kwenyu from Siawan is misleading. It's false. It won't give Zambia the expected prosperity, but is ushering Zambia into more slavery. I want to continue. I was numbering the dots as 1 to 5. This is 3, 4, 5. 5, I talked about the rising of what? Of Obama in fulfillment of the prophecy that I saw of referring him as Joseph. And look at this as a point of emphasis. Immediately after Obama, there arose a new king who I identified as